So Julie Porcher, please keep your comments so there's no legal accusations, please, because I know what you're up to. Your comments here is, if you start talking about illegally hiding stuff, that's not true. I know what you're up. You've done this before. You've called the media. You've had them come.
Channel 6, did I call you to ask you to come to the meeting today?
What the hell is that?
I'll cover that in just 1 second.
Wabasha County social media policy.
This,
Go ahead.
I actually am the culprit that asked for this to be on the agenda. I'm just gonna pass some sheets down. The first one is a Facebook site that was active back in 2011, 2012 maybe, 2011 I guess. Here's the letter. Where we have one of our employees supporting the recall of 3 commissioners at the time.
So I guess my question is what is the purpose of this?
I think I have the floor, Mr. Chair. May I finish my thought? Sorry. One last. So my concern is, when we have it, and I think we all have thick enough skin that we can take criticism and be challenged in our role as a commissioner. That's really not what this is about. This is about county employees maybe stepping across that line just a little bit too far. Are you videotaping me, sir?
No.
Stepping across the line just a little bit too far and maybe crossing some ethical and perhaps moral boundaries. The second handout is from a Facebook site that says, I dislike Deb Russian greatly because we do not say hate in this house. And under the closed group thing over on the right, if you would open that up, it even goes so far as to call me a bitch. And I don't know that I even know many of these people, other than you, Commissioner Springer. And I believe one of those people is an employee down in the Sheriff's Department. And of course, the last one was not a social media, but for anyone who saw the Wabasha Herald, the Teamsters decided to do a hit piece and call me a pig last week. So, while that might make them feel good, it still crosses some boundaries that perhaps the county needs to develop some sort of a policy. And again, this isn't about taking away anyone's free speech. I think we all have a right to express our concerns and our opinions. But when it crosses a line and becomes vicious, hurtful, personal, there has to be some boundaries, or there should be some boundaries. And yes, it's probably okay in this case in your mind because this is just about me and it's who cares. But someday it's going to be about another employee here or a citizen, and then we've crossed the line into liability. As elected officials, I know the bar is higher. We're subjected to a little bit more public criticism, and slander and defamation lawsuits are a little bit tougher for an elected person to enter into. But for an employee of Wabasha County, or a citizen who's been a victim of this, there's liability there for slander and defamation, and to let this go, not only will affect the taxpayers through a lawsuit, because there's leaders on here, there's department heads and leaders who have set a standard now that this behavior is okay. If you're doing it, Commissioner Springer, you can't tell any of the staff not to do it because they're going to say, well, you're doing it. And so that's why we need a policy. But we can hold employees responsible to a social media policy. And so even if they see their elected commissioners and other people doing it, they know that staff can't do it. So this is probably the worst I've seen in people. And I'm sad that that's what Wabasha has resorted to. I guess it's okay to dislike someone, but to be vicious and attack them and name call, that, you know, we don't raise our children that way, and I don't know why we do it as adults, I guess. So I'll get off my soapbox, but that is pretty much why I brought social media. It's not pleasant for me to work in these conditions, and I think you would have to agree if it was happening to you, you wouldn't want to work in those conditions.
May I say something?
So can I assume that if with the information you passed out here that you don't condone what the Association for Government Accountability has put out then? I think that, I just wanna know, is it okay in certain instances, or is it frowned upon altogether? Do you, like I say, do you condone what that group has done in the Wabasha? Social media?
me?
Both of you.
I'm sorry.
That is a citizen, thing again. I have no control over that.
Well,
Whether I
there's that-
condone it or not. Do you condone that, Commissioner Springer?
No.
You condone that ad?
I didn't have anything to
Do
do
you,
with that.
I am asking you if
This
you
is-
condone, I didn't have anything to do with the other thing. Do you condone that ad?
No.
Okay.
And when these kinds of activities are happening, you know, the recall, you know, was that particular employee soliciting signatures during her workday? I mean, those are things, you know, common sense, you'd look at that and go, well, she obviously is very politically active and would like to recall 3 commissioners that the electorate, the voters, the people placed here. And she's certainly willing to have her political viewpoint. But if she's using her position in the county attorney's office and/or her position as a county employee and/or county employee computers and equipment to forward a recall, then, you know, then we may have issues that we need to deal with.
So,
We don't. The other thing is, I don't come to this board to take shots at my fellow commissioners. I will stand up and fight for what I believe in. If you don't like me and like the way I vote, you know, I live by the vote. I don't take cheap shots at the end of the meeting with trumped up concerns and stuff to make the headlines and press and try to make somebody look like a monkey. You know, I mean, if that's what you're here for, you know, you're being successful. But let's get the business of the county done. If we have differences, we can go out in the parking lot and talk about them. We don't have to talk about them in the boardroom. You know.
Well, the same works for union negotiations. We
This
have
works in the
closed
policy.
sessions for a reason.
Okay, you keep bringing up the union negotiations. What confidential information was released? What, specifically tell me, what confidential information was released? The salaries are not confidential, the benefits are not confidential, and I didn't really see much else of any substance in there that would pertain to anything.
There's nothing in there that's confidential. There's nothing in there that's confidential. There's nothing in there that's confidential.